Hey there, it is 8:55 p.m. and it's November 21st, and I am determined to have a little bit of enjoyment this evening. So I'm working on some projects right now, and most of them are dealing specifically with art. Like I'm not actually working on like anything that relates to Gordon's occupational engineering at the moment. Um, I'm trying to get a little bit more research done on reading that 124-page document that I talked about, and I addressed Michael Tillman on in one of my videos, and so I'm kind of working on that right now, but not really putting in a lot of effort at the moment, mainly because I'm just really trying to hone in on my next move. Like I feel as though my life is stagnant, and I'm ready to move ahead. And I'm tired of being, just sitting here without working. And this is one of the reasons why I was talking about this earlier about my concern of getting my name cleared in databanks. Mind you, I did talk about this issue with Valley Strong Credit Union, and I did implore my Soul Tribe to get involved in the auditing of this particular company. Also, I think it's important that you guys just don't just focus on me. You may have already tackled other data banks that might have your information in there. For example, some of you guys are governors, senators, mayors, or whatever. Make sure that your information in your the data banks that you have are clear. Because like you might have a bank notation on your account, or you might have and God forbid if any of you guys ever need anything like social services. Believe me, I never wanted to ever get on any sort of social assistance. However, I was trafficked into this situation. So even though you guys may not be on any social services, it's important to make sure that your name is clear, just in case. You never know what happens. Like what would happen if there was a big disaster and people couldn't go to work or something along those lines? It's important to make sure your name is clear in every data bank. It doesn't matter what. Okay, so you guys make sure of this and get busy on that because we need to make the world a better place. There's a lot of people, like I said, this proves it. We have already seen how many people are not aware of the kind of confidentiality that it takes in order to be in their positions. We can tell that a lot of people use their free time at work to commit these sort of crimes, and they make it almost normal to them. But what they're actually doing is they are promoting genocide. Is what they're doing with their foolishness. So yeah, I appreciate that. So anyway, this evening I'm just kind of like I'm hanging out in my room. I got some arts and crafts supplies out. I'm ready to work with color, and that's what my main focus is right now. And stepping away from all the stress and the issues. But I wanted to address this to my soul tribe because I really want you guys to know who I am, right? See, I have a very strange temperament because of my situation of always having to deal with dishonest people. If you think about it, and maybe you guys can relate to this because you might relate to this because of being born in or coming to this world as one of these burden babies. Okay, you get adopted into a family that obviously is relying upon you for some sort of financial issues. In this case, adopt Maria, and then we will go ahead and help you get your foot in the door to NASA. Okay, well, my obligation is up. Okay, so I know I've had to the kids in 533 who have been attached to me for very, very many years. And like I said, I'm over the age of 18 and it's time for me to move on. If you guys in my soul tribe, political or celebrity, if you guys are thinking about problems within your so-called families, okay, now is time to start, you know, standing up for yourself and making room for yourself, okay? What these people have done, the church as well as the church members, have placed people, okay? We all know that slavery is illegal, but they have taken advantage of people in our situations. And this is what I'm talking about. It's almost like a modern day form of slavery by people putting you in these situations and acting as if you don't have any rights to your money or where you're supposed to shop or whatever. And that is a lack of you know, it's obviously someone infringing on your rights. And yes, you do have rights. Okay, we are human beings. I notice that a lot of times, you know, in people who traffic other people, they often like to bring up things that like blackmail. So I no one ever mentioned this to me, but I do get the intuitive feeling, a deep download. Okay, it's like a download of where people were sitting here bringing up my issue of where I was born. You know, this was like around the 2014 to 2020 period that I got this download for. It's because, you know, what they want to do is it's a way of manipulating you. So it's like, okay, well, they want to act like you're not American enough, or they want to try to create problems with you, or emphasize things like on your application, like, you know, are you legally able to work in the United States? Yes, I am legal to work in the United States. Okay, this was an underground operation, many that's happened throughout the centuries. But, you know, like, I'm focusing on the years of where Maria Gordon was born, and what they've done is I was born in England, and then they brought me over here to the United States. Okay, through illegal means, and then of course they secure people's documents and stuff like that through legal means, but they bring you here illegal. It's very very, you know, what do you call it? All very white collar, crimey, whatever. And many of us are now here, and we are, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so as we go forward, it's like, you know, we need to stop letting these so-called Christian people try to, you know, try to bully us of after being in an illegal crime syndicate in the first place. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, these people do not have any solid basis to sit here and bully people the way that they have. And this is why I'm standing up, okay? And I'm bringing it to the Soul Tribe's attention because maybe you guys, maybe some of you guys never realized, you know, your history, and maybe you guys have encountered people who have tricked you into things or doing things that you should not have done. Okay, a lot of people are taking advantage of people in this situation, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, when it comes to clearing out data banks, make sure that there is, you know, no sort of notations on your accounts that are preventing you from having certain rights. Like I said, even though you guys are in positions where you're not using social services, even make sure that those are too, okay? Because I'm serious. You just cannot trust people. And in my life, you know, I've never been able to trust anybody. I've come to find out my family's fake. The kids I went to school with were always plotting against me. You know, this was designed by, okay, the church officials, right, where they've heard all of these nonsensical things in each of their denominations, and then you had all these people from different denominations who know each other through work, school, whatever. They get together and they start formulating cults, and then this is what has happened. Okay, obviously, what the church did is something that I don't know if the church has ever made, like, I get the intuitive message and downloads that the church has made some sort of statement and has been talking to their congregations about how wrong this was. But uh, the damage is already done. You see what I'm saying? The damage is already done. You have already ruined someone's reputation. You have already created a problem that that, you know, I have been severely affected by, and you are very slow to correct the issue. And some of your, what I'm going to say, half-ass attempts on rectifying the situation only makes me more offended because you don't really understand the scope and the intensity and the depth of what you did. This is a fact. You do not understand what you've done. To me, it's like you have, I mean, it's shocking, okay? It's more than shocking. It's just unspeakable. Okay, and the intuitive message I'm getting is something about, yes, beautification is of the divine. Many of the people who go to Christian churches, I've known several women. For example, okay, not personally, but you know, I've seen Joel Osteen's wife, right? I don't not really know much about Joel Osteen, although other than the fact that I did feature him in my autodidacts video, and I know that there's a lot of people who are great fans of Joel Osteen. But I notice his wife is extremely attractive. She's a very beautiful woman, and she takes care of herself. I've seen her at times not overly glammed up, but she's somebody who, she knows how to rock it. You know what I mean? She looks great. But, no one points her out. So obviously we can see that there has been situations where people have been singled out, okay, for things to be bullied for whatever. Some congregations are okay with things like makeup and some aren't, okay? I have made it a choice not to be a part of any religion, okay? And that's my choice. Why? Because all I've ever seen was hypocrisy. I have noticed the mental illness in Christianity and Christian people for a very long time, starting with Tanya. Starting with Tanya, okay, the girl of 533, the girl I used to call my sister. Okay, I knew when I was in fifth grade when she had her first mental breakdown that something was wrong with her, and I did relate it to her religion. Okay, um, and like I said, just being a clone and being in an environment where people are pretending. Everybody was in these churches pretend. Okay, anytime you sweep something under the carpet and you start pretending, you're gonna start that right there is like a seed to plant to that's going to start festering mental illness, and that's exactly what it's done. You know what I mean? It's the constant denial of what the true reality of it is, and the true reality of it is that many people are very weak, and some people rely on, like, for example, adopting other people and exploiting them, and that's exactly what my mother did. She exploited me, and I don't forgive that. You know what I mean? But I did bless and pray for her soul. Why? Because I don't believe that people should go into the afterlife with that sort of mental torment. And this is what we're talking about, like the state and period of health. That's what I'm talking about. See, because deep down inside, um, I have communicated with these people who passed on, and some of these people, they are very grateful that I understand what their transition means. Their transition means that, okay, when you at the end of your life, that right there spiritually is what how you end your life is the transition that you're going to go into in the next life. Okay, so if you're bitter, miserable, whatever, then that's what you're going to end up with. And then some of these people are in such mental torment because they know that they screwed up. They know they screwed up because I didn't deserve it, and they feel bad. They feel bad. So this is one of the reasons why there was a time I made a video where I got really cold, and there's some spirits that people have. I haven't seen them myself. I feel them, but there have been some people within this like community or whatever talking about me having spirits in my patio. And yeah, I do. Why? Because there's some people who, and I'm actually glad to say that they feel remorse for what they've done, even though it's too late. Why do I say it's too late? Because they cannot sit here and turn around and be good people on earth, okay? But they can be better and in a better state in the afterlife, okay? But they wasted their life doing stupid stuff, okay? Like worrying about and being in competition instead of them trying to be good for themselves or being the highest level of themselves. They wanted to sit here and use me as some sort of comparison point and drag me into a competition I have no interest in doing. Now it's different. Like some people, they like competing. Like some girls, they get together and like, hey, you know what? I want to. I don't know. They might say, I want to grow my hair longer or something like that. And so they'll get into this little game like, oh, I just measured mine, and then they'll talk about their little game. Okay, and this is what they're into. Okay, no one. I did never consented to be in anybody's competition. I do live in. I mean, okay, I've been in this system dealing with this Christian nonsense for a very long time. I just so happen though to move into Bakersfield, California. Okay, and I'm not trying to bring that make anybody feel bad, but it is a very uneducated community. Okay, regardless of the fact that some of these people go to CSUB or graduated from Cal State or whatever. Yeah, I deal with a lot of ignorant people. Okay, and so and like I said, I would say a lot of people who have their degrees are people who just went because it was a thing to do. They took the test and they passed it, but they really didn't learn anything. Okay, and this is the end result of it. Okay, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Like I know that throughout my years, my incarnations in different lives, I know that what I did not tolerate more than anything is religious hypocrisy. I cannot stand that. More than anything in the world, I hate religious hypocrisy. And if you look into things like the Bible and stuff like that, I think Jesus and was constantly, getting on people for not doing things the correct way. You know what I mean? And what is the correct way? Literally, if you really look at it, it's basically people should just mind their own business. Stop comparing your spirituality to other people. Stop, judging other people. It's always people projecting outward, or calling out other people's issues when they've got pretty much the same issue or something worse. You know how they say, don't. What was that scripture? Like, don't complain about the needle in one somebody's eye when you have like a big shaft in your eye or something. You know what I'm talking about. But the point is like, a lot of people who are sitting here opening their mouths about how other people should live, they are in no position to even make those statements at all. So anyway, I you can understand that someone like myself who's been through gang stalking after dealing with a family betrayal, and dealing with, to me, I cannot sit here and try to make any of these people look good. I cannot sit here and try to feel, I cannot see any redeeming quality in any of the people that I used to know. And this includes the Collins family or anything else like that. What in the world were you thinking? Why in the world did you think that something like this was okay? It was not okay. It will never be okay. The intuitive message I'm getting is like the Collins wanted to attack my relationship or my potential relationship with Vladimir Putin. Okay, what you need to understand is that you could sit here and attack my relationship or my invisible relationship or whatever you want. You can attack it all you want to. That is not going to make me want your son. It's not going to make me want him, ever like him. I want nothing to do with it. This is a time period in my life that needs to be buried for good. Okay? You couldn't make Bruce palatable to me. Okay? And I don't want to be associated with you. So, it's like, yeah, I feel as though, this issue, this part of my life should have been over with. And when Bruce and I parted ways back in the 90s, I thought that was the end of that. I really did. Okay, the intuitive message I'm getting right now is something about my taste in music. Okay, I understand. I already addressed this in my newsletter. I already addressed this in my newsletter. And see, I understand some people, they think of things, they think things in ways that I don't relate to. Okay, and what makes it even more offensive is that somebody would think that they should have the right to control somebody by when a person is sitting here listening to music, whether it's in their office or they're in their own little space in the privacy of their office or their home. And this is something that they want to control themselves. There's something very wrong with these people. I could not like you guys at all. I cannot. I find it impossible to sit here and look at the members of 533 growing up and thinking about the Collins family and thinking about them thinking that they had some sort of sense of entitlement. I had already talked about me not wanting to be a part of that or me breaking up with Bruce many years ago. And see, maybe it is what I gotta refer to this as white arrogance, okay? White people, I mean, I would say white people have improved on their pompousness. And I know this sounds like, but white people used to be very, very pompous. They used to feel as though there is no way in the world that you could not want them. Now, no matter what they did, you wanted them, okay? Now I think people understand that that's bullshit, okay? It's just like I knew Bruce was a piece of shit, okay? I did not want to marry him. I didn't marry him. As a matter of fact, I wanted to tell my son that the dude was dead because I didn't want my son knowing these people. Okay, but see, in the back of their mind, they were like, "Oh yeah, he could always go back to her if he wanted to." Blah 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 blah. Because in their mind, they think if you're a black woman, that you automatically want a white man. No, you are wrong. You are dead wrong. Okay, you couldn't be any more wrong. Okay, I mean seriously, I don't want to have anything to do with Bruce Collins. Okay, I don't like the fact that people sit here and they look at my work and then they think, oh, I want to take credit for it or I want to have some sort of thing in it. No. Okay, obviously you're sitting here trying to look at me as some sort of commodity or something. How dare you? Okay. And that's a part of my life that needs to move on. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. Okay. So the message I'm getting is something about employers understanding my situation slowly but surely, and something about this issue with the Collins and the whoever it is, Vladimir Putin. Um, like I said, I hate your son. I hate Bruce Collins. Okay, I hate the memory of how life used to be in Lancaster. I was very cornered in my life in Lancaster. I felt very limited in my life in Lancaster growing up, and the people were very fake. And it's almost like that time in my life was just a great example of mind control. All of it was mind control. Okay, the people that I knew, the fakeness. Even when I look back on my relationship with Bruce, it's like because I saw things differently because everybody painted things out to be differently. Like people made it seem as though Jehovah's Witnesses were decent people. You know what I mean? Or that Jehovah's Witnesses were colorblind and that they were above all of that and da 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 da. But they obviously are not. Okay, and that was just a time in my life that I choose to leave behind. I don't want anything to do with my past. I don't want anything to do with my past. You know what I mean? And you need to understand that. The message I'm getting right now is something about my son. He's thinking about me. And what is it? So I think my son understands that I'm very direct and that I am very serious about my situation. Like I come here and I make videos about it because you know um, I have been suffering for the issues of what other people have caused. You know what I mean? Year after year after year after year after year after year. Okay, and it is the church's fault. Okay. A lot of it has to do with the fact that many of the church members, um, I talked about psychology, and I know, in the early history of the church did not like psychology. Okay, but as we progressed, they become a little bit more open to it. Christianity is a very mentally warped religion. Okay, at least how it's been practiced. Okay, and I can tell in the members, like I said, they built this whole issue around the burden babies on a lie. Okay, and like I said, the fact that that was built on a lie and built an institution, you know, around this, and then continued it for many many years, and then they became. It wasn't. You could tell that it really wasn't about saving the souls of these so-called burden babies, because I will tell you that has nothing to do with it. Okay, it's literally somebody being able to duplicate or clone another individual, bringing them back, right? And then acting as if they were, somehow bad or whatever. And really, when you look at it, I'm sure many of you guys have done your readings, card readings, that most of you guys may have been attacked because you may have been very talented, you may have sang well, you may have been some sort of performer that was very exquisite in your past life. You may have been a ruler or a leader or something that was very outstanding. So this is a reason why they brought you back, and that's it. No other reason. The only thing is you didn't offend God, you offended man, okay? And these people were pissed off about it. So it's this like bloodline war that's been going on for however long, okay? And like I said, some people, such as myself, I've never tried to, I don't like competition. Like I said, even growing up, like storylines, I would lose interest in the storyline if they brought in the element of competition. Like growing back up, I used to watch like things like Charlie Brown, and I loved like the Charlie Brown Christmas special, the Halloween special. And you know what I didn't like about that one that one Charlie Brown special where he went to summer camp or whatever is the fact that they had this bully kid, and it became this us versus them. They brought this us versus them concept into the cartoon. I'm like, oh no, don't do this to Charlie Brown. Not Peanuts. No, don't bring this in here. But they brought it in there. I'm like, oh please, I don't like arguments. I don't like tension of any kind. Okay, I literally just want to, drift through life and not have these issues. You know what I mean? But because of the church gave me this reputation, and yeah, I do have a history of being a remarkable individual because I am a spirit being. I am a spirit being. I know it sounds crazy, but this is the reason why. This is why I'm King Solomon, Jesus. Yes, I do believe I was Jesus in one of my incarnations. I believe I was Noah in one of my incarnations. The Bible is nothing but a book about my incarnations. The Android message I'm getting is something about my son, and something about Bakersfield Police Department. The Police Department got busted, and I am destroying organized crime. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm destroying organized crime, and I'm identifying it. And I've been identifying it for quite a long time. And what's shocking to me, why I will never forgive these people, is because I've told these people that what they were doing was criminal for the last 10 years. Okay, and I still deal with their crap. So this tells me that I deal with highly demonic, wicked people, pathological people. Okay, it's disgusting. Okay, we just recently got affected by the with the government shutdown thing with the SNAP thing. Okay, that was pretty recent, right? So I'm telling you, they're not like repentant people. They are evil people. They are on a mission to kill people, is what I'm telling you. I'm telling my soul tribe this. Wake up. See, try to tell my son this, right? And he doesn't understand the level of intensity that this really is. He doesn't understand that I don't feel comfortable with him thinking that it's okay to be friends with just about anybody. It's not. It's not. Okay. And I know he knows more people in this community than I do. Okay. And some of these people probably introduced themselves to my son and told him, "Hey, don't tell your mom this and this and this." I mean, and these people are not moral. They're not moral people. The message I'm getting right now is that many people can envision working with me, and people want to work with me because okay, just like Noah and all these other so-called righteous people in the Bible, right? They have like a moral system that is. Um, I think maybe the moral system was more highlighted in like Noah, because the story of Noah in the Bible is where you know. It's like the place had to be destroyed because there weren't any good people. Okay, there weren't any good people, and um, and I'm a unique person because I have very high standards. And see, what the Masons understand is that yeah, I'm the savior, but to the church, the church has always looked at me as something bad because I am not somebody who bows down to the church. But the Masons know that I'm the Messiah, but the churches know that I'm the Messiah, but they get angry with me because they know I will not sit here and bow down to the church because the church, in my opinion, is wicked. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that Putin knows that I know who his past life is. I don't come out and say it because I figured that was maybe he's talking to the press about it, or maybe he wants to. I want him to be able to say it himself if that's what he chooses to do, okay? But yes, I know who he is, and I am very, very happy about it. The other intuitive message I'm getting is that a lot of men who are associated with these women who created this problem, they are very ashamed of them. And a lot of these men are stuck in their relationships, okay? They don't have any other options to go to, you know. And like I said, I've never mistreated Mary Landucci. Like I realized that when I realized that Mary Landucci was acting against me or gossiping about me, I did distance myself from her. But she knows I never did anything to her to deserve this. Okay, I remember, like, I've always been into making stuffed animals. Like I said, I remember giving her one of the stuffed animals I made. It was like a raccoon. Okay, and then slowly but surely she started turning on me. She's like, okay, whatever. No, this was all their fault. Okay, and yes, I would say a lot of overweight women are likely to strike and abuse other people for no reason other than their own unhappiness. It is what it is, okay? And see, by me mentioning it, it's like when you mention it, then they get more angry because now you've acknowledged. It's like that one skit. I love that school bully that um, I can't think of the name. The community, I remember, like, saving it to my YouTube channel and then even posting it on Facebook. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. This is like this skit of this school bully who, is kind of terrorizes this one kid, and this kid is like psychoanalyzing him, understanding how deep, this kid has his problems. And like when the guy was like, he was upset because they acknowledged the fact that he had a problem. And this is what I'm talking about with a lot of overweight women. When they bully you and then you basically tell them, hey, you need to stop it, it almost seems like they want to up the ante. And then you basically try to let them know, hey, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you're unhappy, and I understand, but I'm not responsible for it. Then they really want to tear your eyes out. You know what I mean? And I'm not responsible for their problems. See, I have every right to sit here and go where I want to go. I have the right to wear my hair however I want to. I have the right to wear the clothes I want to. Yes, I do. Okay, and I think what I feel so angry about is these women feel entitled to try to control another person, and I hate you for it. I will always hate you for it. So yeah, when I think about um, the kind of women that I avoid, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't sit here and go out of my way looking to associate with overweight women. Why? Because I know they are in a mental state where they cannot be of any good value to anybody. They're never going to sit here and be happy for you when you reach your goals. If you're trying to aspire to do something, they're going to be the first one who's going to throw a wrench in your plans. They're never going to be happy for you. They're not going to. Okay. My issue is, I mean, I grew up with an overweight mom. She didn't care about me eating bad things. You know what I mean? And I understand, like, just when I was talking about, the coworker that I had, and I remember I was feeding his little son donuts because his son was cute, right? He was sitting there, like, pointing to the donut. He would gobble it down, and I would just go get him another one. He pulled me aside. He's like, don't do that, because he knew his wife was someone who was not really going to give his kid a good upbringing. Why? Because all she was doing was setting an example of how she lives. And because that child is under her guardianship longer than he is the father or anybody else, guess what footsteps he's going to be walking in? And that's just reality. Okay, and like I said, because I understand this, I choose not to live this life. These overweight women wanted to bully me into that sort of lifestyle. They prevented me from working, then they wanted me to be forced on social services, and then they gathered up other women, much like myself, or other people in general, and then they want to sit here and cut off people's food stamps and make people go to, like, food banks or whatever. And yes, this is carefully orchestrated by a bunch of big women. Okay? And I think it is crazy. It is crazy. But this is what they do. And then also, the intuitive message I'm getting right now is something about me having ownership of my newsletter. See, for some reason, I get the feeling that this upsets a lot of people. Well, like I said, I have a right to have a newsletter. You know what I mean? It's my newsletter. And see, in their mind, why do they really do think that, or at least it makes them feel better to lash out. I'm not responsible for your stuff. And so this is what I'm talking about. If people have it in their head that they're not happy and that they have the right to inflict harm on a person, whether that be financial harm by trying to bully them out of the workplace, blacklist them, stalk them, financially abuse them, right? That's one, or emotionally abuse them, like, oh, I'm going to sit here and, like, roll my eyes when she comes into the store, or I'm going to sit here and go get a frappuccino and interrupt my sales transaction before I actually wait on her, or I'm going to, whatever it is that's rude, okay, and inappropriate behavior, okay, and this is what they do. Okay, and it just becomes a nightmare. So when it comes to me, when it comes to these overweight women, I'm being honest. I understand. I grew up with an overweight mother. I also had a overweight sibling, right, who constantly, forever, wanted to bully me. Okay, so what can overweight women really do for you? Nothing. They are useless. Okay, and I'm saying this from experience. Okay, I'm not saying this because I feel like I need to attack these people. I'm telling you because I have been attacked by these people unjustifiably. Okay, they have no. I do not have any anything to do with overweight women, I don't even acknowledge them. Okay, I look right through them. They're not of any value to even know. The intuitive message I'm getting is everyone wants to be invited to my party. I would love to have a party one day. Okay, but anyway, I need to sit here and protect myself from this community, and I'm doing what I can do. I feel as though it's important for me to connect with my soul tribe and start from there. The other message I'm getting right now is so many men are angry and ashamed to be seen with these stupid women. The other message I'm getting is that I fought the institution in one. And yeah, I did. I fought the institution in one because many of these people would like to use the church as an excuse for what they've done. But the thing is, they're not doing it for righteous reasons. They're doing it because I just so happen to get they. I just so happen to be a focus of their attention because the church has mentioned me. Okay, and even let's just say, for example, I was a wicked person, which obviously I'm not. But when it comes to Christianity, yes, Christianity should be a moral system. It should be a moral system, meaning that they should know right from wrong, and they should know that everything that they did was wrong. Okay, but anyway, yeah, Christianity should be a moral system. It should not be something that people just say so that they could feel like they're fitting in, or it's a form of an affiliation, like it's a good old boys club. It should not be looked upon that way. It is literally walking into the footsteps of the Christ, and everybody knows that humans are not perfect. Okay, but it's being able to recognize what you do wrong and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this better the next time. And you recognize this and you improve on your life. Okay. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, but yes. Anyway, there are a lot of women in this community right now are very scared. A lot of overweight women. They are in terror 24 hours a day. A lot of these women are losing their jobs or going to be losing their jobs. They also are getting violence is increasing for these women. Like I said, I talked about how many of these women tricked men into marrying them. Um, Many of them are losing their marriage mates. They're losing their reputation, and they are being exposed as being evil. Okay. The other message I'm getting right now is that I have every right to purchase things that I want to do. So some of these women get together and talked about the things that I buy. Okay, and I have the right to buy them. Okay, like for example, when I was working at BT Trucking, I would go to the store and buy stuff. And I remember like coming home one time when I was living on I Street. Right, this is before I worked at BT Trucking. I came home and one of my neighbors came out and she literally opened her door, stuck her nose out, and said, "Oh, you have these really nice groceries." And I was beyond like, "You are overstepping. That is none of your business what I buy. It's none of your business." And so you get these jealous women, they sit there and they conspire and they start talking about, well, I'm jealous of her, so I'm going to make it so that she can't find a job. I'm going to blacklist her. I'm going to make so that she can't go to this store, this store. I mean, I'm shocked that people did not know that this was illegal. I'm absolutely disturbed by it. I'm absolutely disturbed by it. I have every right to shop wherever I want to. And see what it is because they don't have that ability. They don't have the ability. They feel as though everybody else has to suffer. I'm not responsible for your problems. So once again, I'm talking about overweight women and their inability to deal with their failures. Okay, a lot of people feel very uncomfortable about attacking this subject because look how many overweight women there are. There's a lot of overweight women, and I would say there's been more overweight women in the last 25 years, and it's been an increase that we've never seen before. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that people feel very hopeless. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we're not responsible for your problems. So when it comes to overweight women, I don't have any compassion for them. You know why? Because I really do believe that they are so filled with anger, uh, bitterness, resentment that is so beyond control. Like I said, tell me that I'm wrong. You can't tell me that I'm wrong, right? Because how many years has this been going on? When did we just have the government shut down? When did this issue just happen? It just recently happened. Okay, so these people, when it comes to removing human scrap heap, I would say these overweight women need to be the first to get off this earth. Okay, and I am all for it. And you know, the intuitive message I'm getting is a lot of people agree with me. A lot of people do. Okay, There are some people who struggle with their weight and they are trying to deal with their problems the best way they can. For those who are humble and they're dealing with their issues and they're staying out of the way, good for these people, okay? But if you have a problem where you have to lash out, you are obviously someone who is so consumed with demons. And yes, do I think that overweight people is a sign of being consumed with demons? Yes, I do. I do. Why? Because it's extremely difficult for them to produce anything of value or be good in any way. Okay, and I want you to start really paying attention to all these overweight women that you come encounter with, and you're never gonna know that I'm telling the truth. Okay, so anyway, I've been talking for 40 minutes, and like I said, people can do what they want to do, but when it comes to my life, you stay the hell out of it. When it comes to my soul tribe, please, like I said, please, make sure that the auditing occurs at the Valley Strong Credit Union. Also, make sure when it comes to clearing out data banks that you guys make sure my other accounts are good and make sure that you guys' accounts are good. Like I said, you may not ever rely on social services. You may have no need to. It's just the fact that you don't want a blemish on your name anywhere. Anywhere. Okay? Especially if you don't deserve it. Okay? For a very long time, the Christian underground groups have been doing things to try to take over not just this country, but the world in general. They're making up their own rules, and that cannot continue. Okay? So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.